The teacher in this segment has designed a word sort with vocabulary based on the current classroom theme of emotions. This is an open sort, meaning the teacher does not dictate the categories that students should use for the sort. Through small group exploration of the words, students realize that the cards can be sorted in terms of opposites. The teacher has grouped students according to needs and has built in differentiation through the word sort. She works with each group, providing support as needed. The students are then asked to add new word pairs that fit the criteria of the sort.
You are going to get a baggie that matches with your name card. Inside this baggie are words on little pieces of paper, just like we do every week. What do we usually do with the pieces of paper?
Sort them?
We
sort the words.
We sort the words. I'm not going to tell you how to sort. You're going to have to figure it out. It might be similar to what we usually do. It might be a little bit different. That's for you to decide. You may also find blanks. Just leave the blanks aside for now. Okay? Okay. I want to see equal participation with everyone taking part. Any questions? All right, you know how to do this.
These are big words. Perseverance.
Now this is a little bit tricky because sometimes we're used to sorting with word parts, right? I want you to think a little bit differently this time. Were you having a little bit of trouble with prefixes and suffixes and things that you usually sort with and word families? You might have to think of a different way. Would you like to give you a clue? Why don't you try the meanings of the words, which we do that sometimes.
I know.
What do you notice about those?
Like they both have words,
They both have.
And they're not the same one.
These are
Like
not,
the opposite?
these are the opposite. So show the group, and what do you think?
The opposite.
Do you think they might be the opposite? Opposite of the emotions?
Cooperative and confident.
I think that's a great idea. Why don't you stick with that and see if that works for you?
Happy.
Okay. Can you maybe organize it in a way so that you know which ones you've used?
Up easily.
Let's see, JC, can you find one?
Give up easily and brave.
Oh, JC's making a column. That might be an idea, just to help you keep track. Sharon's found a match. Now you've got it.
Like that. Like hardworking and lazy is like, that's like you don't want to do your work. Yeah. So yeah, totally go to that.
When you think you've figured out the sort and you've checked in with me, you are going to add to each column using the blank cards. Okay. So just like we do in math, where your figure has to match with the attributes, the words that you're selecting on the cards need to match with your sort. And that's all I'm going to say. I'll come around to clarify to each group so we don't give it away to those still working.
Like we had to do like one way, which is the positive way, and a negative way, and then we switched it by doing opposites. And the positive way is respectful, responsible, honest, polite, caring, and agreeable. And the negative way is disrespectful, irresponsible, dishonest, rude, uncaring, and disagreeable.
We thought we looked at the ones that had the same word in it, and then had a prefix in the beginning, and we figured out that this wasn't actually an opposite, but since there was no more, we had to put them together. So we thought about agreeable, then we said if it was inagreeable, unagreeable, or disagreeable, then we said that disagreeable makes sense, so we said that disagreeable would go in the right place.
When I met with this group, what I noticed was that they were discussing which prefixes to use in order to make the word the opposite. So I thought that was really great thinking, that they realized that a prefix could change the meaning of the word, but then they were discussing which one sounded better, and that's how they decided which prefix to use. They were discussing, should it be dis, should it be in, should it be un, which was a great transfer of what they'd been learning with prefixes and suffixes to a different context. So your next step is you're going to create your own little mini anchor chart. And just like you talked to me, positive and negative, you're going to label it, or whatever you want to label the top, the attributes or the characteristics, and then you're going to glue and tape them on just like that. So we can refer to them when we're doing our writing and our reading. So you've been working pretty hard. You've tried many different combinations. Do you think you found one that might work for you now? So tell me what you've sorted, how you've sorted.
Like negative emotions and positive emotions. That's why we put
That on
positive.
top. And I noticed you went from 3 columns to 2 columns. So is there a relationship or connection between the 2 sides?
They're
Andrew?
the opposite. So
They're
we
the-
put them together.
They're the opposite. So let's do a quick check. Enthusiastic, unenthusiastic. Polite, impolite. Unreliable, reliable. Is positive, unreliable?
No. Reliable. So we should say.
That's okay. This is all part of figuring it out, right? Calm, nervous, cooperative, uncooperative. Respectful, disrespectful. Respected, disrespected. Perseveres, relents. Courageous, cowardly. Responsible, unresponsible. And I like what you've done here by doing the opposite. What did you add on to the beginning? Un. That's good thinking. Why were you thinking that?
Because when you add un, that means less or none.
Thank you. Now we have to think about, does that sound right? Unresponsible? She was unresponsible because she didn't do her homework.
Irresponsible.
Unresponsible, irresponsible. That
Irresponsible.
could be, that might sound better. Here's another one. This is a tricky one. Irresponsible.
Irresponsible.
IR?
Yeah.
Irresponsible. Which one sounds better? Unresponsible?
Irresponsible.
Irresponsible? What
And
did
we
you
have
say?
irresponsible.
What was the second one that you said?
Irresponsible.
Irresponsible. So which one sounds the best?
Irresponsible.
Irresponsible. So try that one. Sometimes we have to say things a few times to figure out how it sounds. Let's debrief what we just did. There was some good thinking going on at the tables, and sometimes it takes a long time to figure out how the words go together. And every group eventually figured out that there was one half of the words that were positive characteristics, and one half that were negative characteristics. Now I saw some interesting thinking going on as I was circulating around the tables when you had to fill in the blank cards with opposite words. And a few of the groups did something that I'd like to bring to everyone's attention. Happy, unhappy, agreeable, disagreeable, attentive, inattentive. I wonder if you notice anything. What did this group do? This group did it as well over here, to change happy to the opposite, which is unhappy. Agreeable to disagreeable. Attentive to inattentive. Just think in your heads for a moment. Now quickly talk with a shoulder partner, making sure everyone's included.
Less. Like this or
Yeah, that's really like
If Diva, Shirani, and Kajal's group could share their conversation, because I sort of listened in, and I like what I heard. Can you tell the class what you noticed about these words? If somebody's comfortable speaking. Okay, Diva, go ahead.
Like for the negative words, sometimes they have prefixes like un or dis, and they're mostly opposites.
And they're mostly opposites, so by putting the prefix on. And how did you decide which prefixes to put on? Because look at this group, had unattentive, then they crossed it out and put inattentive. What if I said dishappy? So we know that dis and un means the opposite. Dishappy, does that sound right? No. So I'm wondering what you were thinking in your heads before you decided which prefix to put on. Talk with your people again. How did you decide?
say the word, does it make sense? And then if it doesn't, yeah, because like maybe people can't like read it. So you have to make sure it makes sense so people can read it. And you have to pick the right one because there's a whole bunch to choose from, but you have to pick the exact one.
So let's hear some sharing then. What were you thinking? Ayub?
Thinking that it had to make sense before you write down what you were going to put, even that they both mean like if it's negative, but you have to make sure it makes sense before you write it down.
Thank you. That's great thinking. So Ayub said a lot of them can make a word negative, but you have to think, does that make sense before writing it down? Or does it sound right? What were you thinking, Anson?
Unhappy is actually the right way. This happy doesn't sounds properly.
Yeah, it doesn't sound proper. We don't talk like that, right? Good thinking, everyone. Give yourselves a big pat on the back. That was good word work this morning.